again.
So Kandra had just said something, and I want her to say it again, because it's where she's at, and it's where a lot of us are in regards to stepping into a royal position of being a queen, which is AKA the wife versus just the bride who's in waiting.
Yeah. So I was sharing with Carrie, I'm in this place of transition, and I feel like it's a lot of the melting down, and parts of me, I feel like, are screaming with the what the heckness, what the Fness of the emotions of it. And the other part of me is just like rock solid in this, I'm going to try this thing on, this, I believe I'm a queen. Things are coming to me, ruling and reigning, and being in that place. Mind, heart, coherence, feeling, resting. Things are coming to me, but it doesn't always look that way in the natural, so to speak. And I feel like there's that wrestle between what's going on and like just resting on that throne and really doing this thing. And I've been asking myself, like, okay, what do I want? What do I really want? You know, like, what is in my soul, in my, like, what's in there, you know, like, okay, I know I can do anything and succeed. I know that, you know, my mother approves, and I can, you know, go and not fail, and I have Father's approval and instruction and compassion and moving in all of this. So it's just really like, okay, what expression am I? What do I really, really want? And I never realized the huge responsibility that I feel with that question.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And knowing that what I say and desire in all of that is powerful, and that is part of that queen mentality. And I had an experience not too long ago where I went and shot a gun, like at a range. Mm-hmm. And part of me was afraid of this, and part of me was supernatural. Like, it was like right on, playing tic-tac-toe within the bullseye. And I realized that there's part of like this thought process, like, man, I've never really held something with that much power. But when it came out of my mouth, it felt like a lie, because I know the power of my intentions and my prayers and my declarations. Like, so I'm finding myself like that those spiritual things that I've ingrained and, you know, been milking and soaking in, like transitioning into this place. And it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally comprehend it, because this is such a shift in paradigm for most of us. Even my friend Marita, she's been looking at just the word as servant in different forms, even in the Hebrew language, with servant and you know, transitioning of it, because what we're talking about here is the fullness of Melchizedek, of the Melchizedek priesthood. And, you know, there's been so much talk about it, but there hasn't been a lot of education about it, right? Because that word's only like mentioned 3 times in the entire Bible. So it's not mentioned that much. And there's other passages where it talks about the royal priesthood. But what does this really truly mean? What does this truly mean? If it's a royal priesthood and we're talking about a throne, you know, I'm looking at it as the throne up here. Right? Because the ego, it's interesting, the amygdala is called the seat in the brain, or AKA seat and throne is synonymous in the Hebrew and Aramaic languages. And the amygdala is what either keeps us in rest and digest, or what's the other opposite of that? fight and flight, right?
Yes.
And so when we're talking about taking back our throne, this is where, when you were talking about the heart-brain coherence of us living from a place where we're not in the chaos of our ego sitting on the throne saying it is God over us. It has to connect all the narratives and everything that's going on with us and what the news is, propagating, and even just the roles that we play in anything that is bringing the ego forward to fruition, instead of being in the place of just being I am.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we start talking about I am this, or I am Carrie, or I am Kandra, or I am a mom, you are diminishing the fullness of the potential by keeping a mask and a role.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to live from the place of royalty, yes, we can say that we're a queen, and I get that, because we have to make that paradigm shift into becoming a queen, but yet I see it as one step higher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a queen, we are now becoming servant leaders, kings, queens of righteousness.
Yep.
But with that comes great responsibility.
Yep.
In that which we create affects everyone.
Yes. And
So
that's the journey, so to speak, that I've, been putting on. Like, okay, God, like, I understand who and what I am here, because when I
right.
started my journey, my awakened journey, so to speak,
Yeah.
one of the very first questions and things that I received was, who are you? And I was like, that is huge when God asks you, who are you? Well, what do
That's
you mean,
good.
bro? You're supposed to tell me. It's kind of how I felt and walked through. So like, okay, I don't know. Who am I? You tell me, show me. So it's been a journey and a process. And, I wore I'm a missionary. No, okay, so no longer are you that. Now I want you to put on, I am an ambassador of the kingdom. Okay, I'm an ambassador. What kingdom? What, where, what? So what kingdom? Go within. Okay, so now I'm an ambassador, and learning like the levels and platforms of the I amness and all of the roles and the masks and the charades, and okay, and being relational, because when you do ministry, you're in the paradigm. I don't know about you, but for me, I go in and I connect at a level, and I feel I want to partner with to bring their hopes and dreams and heaven to earth. And I feel all the areas of lack and mindsets and just flood them with all that I have, which you know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. But now I feel a responsibility, because I understand that there's more out there that was just one grain of sand. How many more are carrying this? So let me do the work, because I can feel it. Yeah, the interconnectedness, the web, I know I'm all over the place.
No, I'm tracking with you. I mean, you're speaking a concept. Generally, when I speak with people, as I'm listening to them, there's many Hebrew and Aramaic words that will flood in. It's like I'm hearing your words and I'm hearing them through your heart. And so the vibratory frequency of the languages are responding in kind, meaning that they are seeing what you are saying. So they are presenting themselves in this moment for us to connect to their power in their vibratory nature. It's like it rises up and it's like, oh, okay. So if I may share, just so we can dot connect here, you're talking about ministry. And ministry, there is a word, shemesh, which means basically to administer. And it's coming from the place of what we were talking about earlier with Melchizedek being a pastor or a teacher or a prophet or a priest, in that place of joining what the Spirit is doing. So the word shemesh is sheen mem sheen. So on both sides of it, you've got a sheen, you've got a representation of fire, the all-consuming fire. And because they're mirrors of each other, you've got the all-consuming fire of mother, all-consuming fire of father. So when earlier on you were saying that I have the approval of the mother and the father, okay, you have both of these flanking a mem, which is on the inside, and mem has to do with water. Now, when we're in a place of ministry, this word shemesh, we are connecting to the living water that is within us. Now, what's interesting about this is living water is in a constant state of flow. It's not stagnated. It's not like having an in and then no outpouring. So the purpose of us being here in ministry is to take that living water that is flowing through us and to be able to minister to others in that place of complete flow and transparency, because it's also a letter that means chaos, like it's chaos. But when you look at a raging river, it looks very chaotic. Water is tumbling all over rocks and boulders, especially if it's at flood state, right? But there's a measure of where it's living. It's not stagnation. And this water, when it goes down the river, it begins to purify itself. Through the tumbling over the rocks and the eddies and everything else, it begins to continue to purify itself because it's living water. So as a minister, with the flame of mother and father that are burning away and purifying us, then we have this effect of the purification of water because of what's going on the inside, by allowing the living water to flow through our hearts so that we can minister to other people while they're in their chaos. I'm going to add one more element here to you, because I know this is what you've done in helping and assisting people. The word shemesh is also the same name for the word sun, S-U-N.
Wow.
Because the sun ministers to all of us. Its light shines on all of us brightly. It doesn't discriminate. It serves. And that is why that is the same word used for those of us who are in a servant position. And it's the same word for the center candle of the menorah, because it is the candle that lights the rest of the branches. And when you look at it in your chakra system, the center candle is your heart.
Of course it is.
I know. And so I love the fact that you're contemplating all of this and you're in this transition, because you have such a beautiful heart and your desire is to serve. But we are needing to come from a place where we're no longer doing it out of lack.
Yeah.
And I'm pointing fingers right back to me when I say this. This is not a judgment. This is going, I need to hear this. We need to allow those living waters that are continually being replenished, that we will never run out of supply, in order to come and speak the living waters from our own mouths to help be a minister, a servant, that of the sun that shines brilliantly with no discrimination, and helps to light and ignite others at their heart level, meeting them wherever they're at, which means we have to start with ourselves. Deal with our own chaos on the inside that would keep us from walking into a royal priesthood and actually being able to administer from that place of Melchizedek. I'm going to throw one more thing in and then take it away for personal experience, because I know you have more to share.
Yeah.
There's a word, malakha. Malakha, this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. I know this is going to touch you because it touched me. Malakha is a word for queen, but it is also contains the word angel. Now, angel, we get hung up sometimes on those terms, but an angel is also a messenger, a priest, a prophet,
Wow.
and a teacher.
Wow.
What happens, the reason why it goes into queen status, is the root is malach, and malach means king or queen. But in order to become an angel or a messenger or a teacher or a priest, there's two very important elements that have to happen. First, you must have the aleph placed within you, which means that you have oneness. You have no longer any separation on the inside. So you've unified yourself. In other words, you have married both polarities of masculine and feminine energy into one right here at the heart level, because that aleph is added on the inside of the word. The second is now there's an aleph added on the suffix. And because of that, the suffix always relates to the father. So now you have become one and unified with Father. Now you are Malacha. This is the process of ascension and maturation in becoming queen. And in Hebrew thought, queen is the same thing as wife. On the wedding day, on the day of consummation, going from the bride who was waiting for the wedding day, on the day of the wedding, on the day of consummation, where the two would become one, the titles would be changed to king and queen. So intimacy in joining in oneness here allows us to minister as Malacha, as the queen, because we have become one within ourselves, which is also source creator. We become source and creator, but we've also become one with Father, the parental governing authority that is over us. So now we are no longer under it. We now understand it and have become it as an equal.
Wow.
Because a sovereign is an equal to another sovereign. So this is why I wanted to discuss this with you, because I know you and I have been rolling around with this queen, this title, this process of becoming into being. And I have another friend, Marita, that has been going through the same process, and we are all having this at about the same time. You also had another friend that brought this to you as well. And so I know that this is a now word that we need to fully embrace because of what we are walking into in our now time space. Declare a thing and it shall be. What do you want?
Yeah, man. I am so wrecked, so undone, so grateful, so...
I love you, Kandra. You're such a beautiful being. I love you
too, Carrie. I'm like, the way that God just used you, Abba, I don't even know what word to use, but I'm just going to stick with God because it's what I'm comfortable with. So the artist in me, the way that the letters come alive to you, when I encounter a person or I'm at that heart level, I pop off like champagne, the same way you do. But a lot of times it's in pictures and in encounters. And as you were explaining, man, I was just getting flooded with all of my personal encounters that I've had or visions. And when you were talking about the mother and the father and the all-consuming fire, I understood the fire angel that I've seen so many times. Dance behind me, dance with me.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful, Kandra.
And when you put up your hands and you were explaining the mother and the father, I was like, whoa, those are the wings. Those are those wings that encountered, those are those Psalm 91 wings. Those. And as you were explaining, I've been having a lot of dreams, and I've been and the symbolism. And you were talking about those waters washing over you, and that's that feeling that I get on the inside when I open up and I minister, and I'm that portal that man, God keeps wrecking me.
So beautiful, Kandra. Yes, we become a conduit. And we become a conduit of the living water that is being given to others who are in their place of a dry and barren place so that they can have life.
Yeah. And I am like, I want to apologize, but I know this is beautiful, and I'm grateful, and thank you for being a part.
You know, it's actually quite refreshing seeing it on the opposite side, because I'm the one that's doing that, and I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful, but it's not my day to be wrecked. It's all right. I'm witnessing this beautiful moment with my friend Kandra, and I thank you for that. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, this is an exciting time, and it's a beautiful time to connect to all those dreams and visions that we have felt that were dashed, that hadn't come into fruition, because we hadn't come to the place of our own understanding to understand it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're moving into. And that's why this queen paradigm shift is so dynamic, because now we're allowing the presence of the divine feminine energy to come in, because without the divine feminine energy, the womb, the seed cannot be planted for these dreams and visions to come to fruition.
Well, it's just like all of these synchronicities, like I feel like they just keep getting stacked in this encounter with you. Like, I don't know. So Lynn Joyful, I don't know if you know her. She creates jewelry. And a while ago, I was like, God, I really want, a piece of her jewelry. And within a year, I now own 3 pieces that I've been blessed with.
Wow.
And I was, yeah. And really, it's amazing the way God is with all of that, right? So I was driving, and there was a street sign that said Mystic Court. And I was like, whoa, that's never caught my attention before. And I heard Holy Spirit say, you're a mystic gem. You're a mystic gem.
So good.
And I was like, okay. So I studied crystals and stuff and understand healing properties, and we're one, like, okay, how does this, So I look into it, and I'm like, whoa. Well, then Sunday was my birthday. And Lynn posted a picture of a triangle mystic topaz ring that was named Portal.
Wow.
And I posted it, and I was like, well, birthday gift. Well, someone purchased it for me. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, God, cool. Thank you.
Wow.
So I had a conversation later. It came out who it was that blessed me with this gift. And she was just like speaking and pouring all this love into me. And there was 4 of us on the conversation. It was the 3 of them pouring into me. And because all day Sunday, I just cried. And I'm like, I don't know why, but this is all whatever. It's all perfect. And I was playing in the water. And I was like, God, thank you that it's warm enough in Michigan. You know how it is in the northern states, that it's warm enough in Michigan right now that my desire to be in water. And like, I was just so grateful with that,
Right.
And being a kid and playing around with my daughter, and they called me and just wrecked me with this love. And it's like so much of what we're talking about right now. And one of them is Brian Christian and his wife Shauna, I'll just tell you, and Shakira, and they were just like telling me, God's breaking this perception of you feeling like you're not valuable without being able to provide, and there's still this stuff. And I was like, whoa, yeah, that's exactly. And it's just melting down those little last things and realizing oneness in those areas, and like just all of this, I'm just so undone and grateful.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful because all the walls of separation that we've had that has kept us from walking into our inheritance is what you're talking about, is our inheritance. If people don't know what our inheritance is, because there's so many verses in the English narrative that talk about inheritance and what does that look like? Well, inheritance is walking into our royal heritage and who we are, and claiming that birthright instead of squandering it. It's like, this is who we are. And with that, there is a great responsibility, because we are no longer walking in the place of co-creator, meaning we have a deity that works through us, right? So the co part of it is agreeing to be used as a vessel for the creator to create through us, which in a way means that we're an ignorant creator. What we're stepping into is the royal position of being a creator. So we're not co-creating that which a deity above us is manifesting through us. We are now rising up into the position in our inheritance as a queen of making these decisions, in creating through a place of responsibility, because that which we create as a sovereign has effect on others who have not risen into that yet. Mm-hmm. I wanted to share with you the word for gem. So you're going to love this. I just love synchronicities on this, and I'm not surprised at all. Do you remember the passage in Exodus 19:5 where it begins? It's when the people are meeting at the mountain, and there's a declaration that is being spoken over them, that you are a chosen people. You are a particular people. Actually, the word should be a peculiar people that have been set apart, a royal priesthood. The word for particular or peculiar is segula, and segula means gem. We are the royal gems, the segula. And then the segula, we are those who have the signet ring, that have gathered the waters that have assembled us. We have gathered the waters that have instructed us, because it was that which allowed us to connect to our heart, so that the revelation of that which we are walking in as gems would not only be revealed to us by the Father, but it is being revealed to others through us as a royal priesthood. Melchizedek's sovereigns walking as the Shemesh, as the ministers of the sun, because we've allowed the water and the fire to purify and cleanse us. One more little tag on here, because I didn't share it before. Shemesh, the first two letters are Shem, and it means those who have a mark of individuality, but walk in honor, authority, and a character, because they allowed the fire and the water to do what was needed for them to become part of the name. And Shem is the first two letters of the word Shamayim, which is Hebrew for heavens.
Wow.
So those who are of the name are those who walk in fire. So the seraphim that you saw standing behind you is quite you.
Yeah, that when you said that, it was like, oh my gosh, it connected so many of those layers and realms, because it was seeing that behind me, but understanding that I am that which is in this realm. And oh, when I first started seeing and becoming aware of that, like in layers, I guess. I don't I had all of these other encounters around that time where I would be like just in worship or whatever. And one time I was picked up, like I didn't realize my heart posture during worship was of that me being like the person throwing pebbles at like a balcony and like worshiping the God up there. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like
right. I do.
serenading. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that that was my heart posture until like I saw a hand come down and pick me up and put me on this like the platform with him. And he said, never again are you to look at yourself as being beneath me. Never again
Oh,
are you.
wow.
And I was crying and I was like, God, like, I want something like to anchor me to this moment, to this memory so that I can come back. And at the very time, the pastor of that church came around and he anointed me. So I had the fragrance, the memories. So it was like, you know, tying all, and I was just weeping and weeping. And I'm like, okay, wow, thank you so much. And then like 2 days later, I was um up at the front and God gave me a ring in the spirit. And I was like, wow, okay. And at that time it was a orange sapphire. And I was like, and I heard emerald and I was like, what is that? How does that work? And I Googled it and found the exact ring. And I was like, whoa. And it came to me. And I like in the natural, I was like, wow, God, cool, you know? And then I was, you know, just in that place of stillness again. And I got a crown put on me and a scepter. And I was like, whoa. And I feel like all of that stuff, you know how you and Doug were talking about that third like the third, I forget exactly how it was. Was it the third was the seal or
The vial and the
yeah, yeah,
trumpet.
yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
feel like the trumpet went off, like I'm at that place. Like I feel like what just happened was that like all the way throughness. You know what I'm
That's so
saying? That
amazing.
like
Yes, yes. And you know what I think is so amazing? That vision you just shared with the ring. So
yeah.
I was sharing with you the segula with the signet ring. That
Yes!
Hebrew letter also means the wedding ring.
Stop it! That was my engagement ring with Anthony.
So your signet ring and wedding ring was given to you on that vision when you received your crown and scepter, but it wasn't ready to come into fruition yet until you could raise yourself up to match the frequency and the vibration of that vision, which was calling you to rise up into queenship.
Come on. Come
Calling you to
on.
rise up into your sovereignty. So that is why these visions are given to us, so that we have a spiritual gravity that pulls us to obtain these things, so that the vibratory nature draws it to us, so that we then manifest it in the quantum field. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm so undone.
And listen, this isn't queen for the day.
No, no, no.
This is queen for eternity.
Hallelujah.
It's a whole different paradigm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I haven't arrived yet either. So just, I know these things and I am seeking as well. And I recognize it and I'm seeing these things that are holding me back from it, which is beautiful because now I can address them. And it's like the finality of the shadow work that needs to be neutralized and rendered clear so that doubt or lack of worthiness no longer stops us from ascending to our rightful position. It's a beautiful, beautiful transition.
Yeah.
I love the vision that you gave. That was awesome.
I'm like popping out because when you were talking about the sun, one of my nicknames has always been Sunshine. And I come into like listening to your thing with your interview with Doug again, and he was talking about the name. I found out that my name means big bright light, like Kandra. It also means covenant in biblical numerology. And my middle name is Lillian. And all those encounters and things that I've had, but we can talk about that another time. But like, there was a argument in the natural about naming my daughter Lillian because both of my maternal and paternal grandmother's middle names were Lillian, and my mom was like no, and I'm like no, her middle name is Grace.
Wow.
Not knowing what, because at the time I prayed like, okay, God, what am I calling her? You gave her to me. What am I declaring over her? And her name is Aurora Grace, like the bringer of dawn and the light and grace. And I'm just like, and all of these, there's so much, all of these synchronicities, the gems, the water. So the other night in my dream, I was being instructed and I kept hearing like extra hydrogen. And I'm like, what are you talking? Like what? And I couldn't put it together until you were just talking about it, that rushing water, the water as it goes, it purifies. Well, as water in the natural like gets smacked on the rocks, the molecules inside, it's no longer H2O, like they start breaking down. And that's why when you drink water in the natural from the aquifers, it's like it replenishes, it balances your pH because they're potential hydrogens. There's extra hydrogen.
Wow.
That's what we are. We are the extra hydrogen here in the water. And I'm like, that's the
living
life.
Water.
That's
living water.
And I'm like, okay, I know that this has to be revealed from the spirit realm. I'm not in the natural. I'm not smart enough. Like I don't come up with this on my own.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I am like I can feel it. Like I have no words, Carrie. It takes a lot to make me speechless.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that we shared. I mean, there was a lot that we just shared in like 40 minutes.
Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you for sharing these incredible visions. Thank you for setting the scenario and setting it up so eloquently and beautifully and transparently so that spirit could help me give the words that were being drawn to the atmosphere that was being set, that they wanted to participate in our conversation because the frequency was drawing them near. The letters of light love. Drawn to lovely people talking about things that are of the light. We've gone through a lot of transmuting. I want to end this with this, and then we can chat, off the Zoom meeting, off recording. There's a word, and it keeps coming up over and over and over and over again, and probably the last 3 weeks. And the root of it is chalaf, and chalaf is het lamed peh. And it is life that has been found from the power within that instructs us on the inside. It instructs our heart. It instructs us through the living water because it's a doorway within that delivers us from an ill and a feeble position. And in the process of delivering ourselves, it's really delivering our heart from feeling separation, right? Bringing it back online. We are then given the mouth to speak and speak forth the revelation of the spirit breath of that which chalaf is producing. Chalaf is the word that means change, alter, and transmute. It is the same root word found within the word where it talks about Yeshua being transfigured and he was changed before them. Now, if that wasn't so profound enough, there were 2 letters that were added in front. I'm not going to worry about the suffix side so much. I want to talk about the 2 letters that were added in front. So chalaf was the root. The 2 letters that were added in front is ish. And ish is the word for fire.
Mm-hmm.
He was transformed into a seraphim right before their eyes. A fiery angel, a messenger that was altered, changed, and transmuted. And this word, by the way, is the same root word when it says that we will be changed in the twinkling of an eye. That's profound.
Wow.
The gems that have light that is shining through them, that will look like fire because they allowed the teachings of the oneness unity, of that of the great I am, to become one as I am, who has embraced the wings of fire that purified them so that they could be altered, changed, and transmuted in the twinkling of an eye. This is angel morphology. This is the malakha, the angels that are the ministers of the sun, the shemesh, and they are burning brightly, just as the sun, the servant candles that transmutes and transforms others from the place of their heart as the light of the world. Pretty amazing time. So thank you for allowing me to share those things with you. Thank you for your tears. I love you.
Thank you for speaking to my soul and like putting words on experiences and understandings and just allowing. I know I am forever changed by these moments.
Me too. It goes both ways, my friend. It goes both ways. This is why we are in the place where we are walking together, no longer separate. Because we are helping to lift each other up in this process, and we don't have to do it alone anymore. We are quantumly entangled. As soon as you think of me and I think of you, we are one and we are in the same place at the same time.